Okay, welcome back. Thankfully, this lesson is quite a bit shorter than the last one and quite a bit easier with a lot fewer calculations. Today, we're going to talk about percent yield. And because it's a percent, it's always calculated the same way. Part divided by whole times 100. So here's our equation that we're going to be using for percent yield. Percent yield is equal to something called the actual yield. There's an L there, divided by the theoretical yield. Yeah, we're doing theoretical chemistry today. And with percents, as always, we multiply by 100 at the end. All right, so some vocab here. What's the actual yield? The actual yield is what you measure in the lab. It's the amount of product that's actually left over in the lab after the reaction takes place. All right, so it's measured amount of product in the lab. If we're not in the lab, which you're not today, your actual yield is going to be given in the problem. And we'll see what that looks like. The theoretical yield sounds scary, but it's not. You've actually been calculating the theoretical yield for the past week and a half. This is what you calculate with the stoichiometry. So this is calculated with stoichiometry using the, what is that thing called? The limiting reactant. Okay, so there's a stoichiometry problem involved in finding the theoretical yield. The actual yield, no calculation required because it's given to you in the problem. When we actually do a lab in the laboratory, this is going to be what you measure at the end of the lab as a result. Okay, the actual yield and the theoretical yield both deal with a product from the chemical reaction. These do not deal with reactants. Okay, you need to use the limiting reactant to find it, but they don't actually deal with reactants. All right, so let's take a look at an example problem. We're going to use the same chemical reaction as last time, so we have 2C2H2 plus 5O2 yielding 2H2O plus 4CO2. So our example problem, we're going to use the same amounts of reactants that we had last time. So you have 50 grams of O2 and 25 grams of C2H2. The first step oftentimes is calculating which one of those is the limiting reactant. We already know that the O2 from last time is our limiting reactant. Okay, so we don't have to go ahead and calculate that this time. But know that you will, at some point, have to do the whole shooting match. All right? And let's say in the lab, you measure what was it here? 8.45 grams of H2O produced. Find the percent yield. Okay, so this is measured in the lab, 8.45 grams. So that is our actual yield. Remember from the equation, we also need the theoretical yield, and that's just a stoichiometry calculation. We did it last time. Let's go through it really quick again. We always start with the limiting reactant. So 50 grams of O2 And we've got 32 grams of O2 is equal to 1 mole of O2. And here we use the molar ratio, which again was 5 moles of O2 to 2 moles of H2O. And finally, we want a mass of H2O because we were given a mass of H2O as our actual yield. So 1 mole of H2O is 18.0 grams of H2O. And we do the calculation, and remembering from last time that it was 11.25 grams of H2O. This now is our theoretical yield because it was calculated by us using stoichiometry. Okay, that is the yield that you would get if all things in the lab were perfect, if the reaction happened perfectly, if all of your O2 was reacted, if all of your C2H2 was reacted, if everything happened perfectly, you get 11.25 grams. In our lab, obviously, everything didn't happen perfectly, and it never happens perfectly. Okay, if it did, you would have 100% yield, but it doesn't. So let's calculate the percent yield. And again, remember, it was actual yield, which was 8.45 grams, divided by the theoretical yield, 11.25, times 100. Throwing that into the calculator, we get 75.1%. And that's pretty good. Realistically, in the lab, if we're doing a percent yield laboratory, we would want as close to 100% as possible. But like I said, unattainable, realistically. But we can shoot for the 90s. That would be great. That's it for this one. All of your homework questions deal with this exact same process. All right, so go ahead and get working on your homework. And we have one more thing to learn about percent yield tomorrow. See you then. Oh, by the way, it's like 82 degrees in Orlando right now. Pretty awesome.